In the quiet suburb of North Epping in Sydney, where streets whisper of everyday life and homes echo with the sounds of families, a story unfolded that would challenge the very essence of our understanding of kinship and darkness. This is the tale of the Lin family, a narrative that delves deep into the abyss of a heinous crime, one that lay concealed behind the facade of familial harmony. In this journey, we will explore not just the events of that fateful day in July 2009, but also the intricate web of relationships and emotions that led to one of the most shocking and heart-wrenching crimes in Australian history. This is a story that forces us to confront the darkest corners of the human heart, where envy and greed can transform love into something terrifyingly unrecognizable. The winter air in North Epping held a chill that night, a stillness that belied the horror about to unfold. Inside the Lin family home, a sanctuary of love and security, the family lay asleep. Min Lin, a pillar of the community, his wife, Lily, the quiet strength behind their family. Their sons, Henry and Terry, young lives full of promise, and Lily's sister, Irene, visiting, all unaware of the nightmare that was creeping into their world. The Lins were more than just residents of this tranquil suburb. They were integral threads in its fabric. Min's news agency was a hub, a place where locals congregated, not just for the daily paper but for the warmth of his smile, the kind-hearted nature that made everyone feel like family. But on this fateful night, the sanctity of their home, a place where memories were made and dreams were nurtured, was shattered. The family, deeply immersed in their peaceful slumber, was oblivious to the dark force that had entered their home, a force driven by a motive as old as time, envy and greed, cloaked in the guise of kinship. As dawn broke, the sun's rays revealed a scene of unimaginable carnage. It was a tragedy that would not just devastate a family, but would send shockwaves through the heart of a community that had once felt so safe, so secure. The Lin family, once vibrant and full of life, now lay in silence, their dreams and aspirations cruelly snatched away in the most violent manner imaginable. This tragedy was not just a loss for the Lin family, it was a tear in the fabric of North Epping, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the hidden dangers that can lurk behind the closest doors, even in the most peaceful communities. As the first light of dawn crept through the quiet streets of North Epping, it cast its rays on a discovery so chilling, so utterly incomprehensible, that it would forever scar the soul of this close-knit community. In the Lin family home, a place once brimming with laughter and life, lay a scene of unimaginable horror. 5 members of the Lin family, spanning 3 generations, were found brutally murdered.
Hello, I need the ambulance to 55A Boundary Road.
What's wrong? What's wrong?
Someone's to be killed.
Is someone bleeding? Is someone unconscious?
I think so they died.
Why? Why?
I'm not sure, but maybe someone killed my brother's family. Wow.
Why do you think that?
I need someone to come quick.
We are coming. You need to stop screaming and tell me what the problem is.
Yeah, I think someone killed my brother's family.
Are they on the ground?
No, they are in the bedroom. They're all in the bedroom. Just quick.
The sanctity of the family home had been violated in the most heinous way imaginable. The crime scene spoke not just of violence, but of a rage so deep, so consuming, that it defied understanding. Min Lin, his wife Lily, their 2 young sons, Henry and Terry, and Lily's sister Irene, had all been subjected to an attack so brutal, it shook even the most seasoned investigators to their core. In a community where doors were often left unlocked, where neighbors were considered family, the reality of such a gruesome act seemed almost surreal. How could such violence erupt in a family known for its warmth and unity? How could a home that once resonated with the joys of family life now echo with the silence of death? This day marked not just the loss of 5 lives, but the shattering of an illusion of safety and trust. The Lin family, once pillars of the community, had been torn away, leaving behind a void filled with questions, fear, and an overwhelming sense of loss. The tragedy that befell them was a grim reminder that evil can strike anywhere, even in the places we consider safest. In the wake of the unfathomable tragedy that had befallen the Lin family, the task of unraveling the truth fell to the investigators. As they combed through the evidence, a single haunting question echoed through the halls of the police station and the streets of North Epping. Why? What could possibly drive such a heinous act within a family celebrated for its warmth and unity? The Lin household, once a sanctuary of family life, had transformed overnight into a complex crime scene. Every room, every piece of evidence, spoke silent volumes. The brutality of the murders suggested a deep-seated rage, a motive that went beyond the realm of ordinary criminality. It hinted at a darkness lurking within, hidden beneath the surface of everyday interactions. As the investigation deepened, it became clear that the answers were not going to be found in the obvious places. The police began to peel back the layers of the Lin family's life, uncovering a tapestry woven with more than just the threads of familial love. There were secrets here, unspoken resentments, and tensions that had simmered beneath the facade of family harmony. Each interview, each piece of evidence, added to the growing complexity of the case. The Lins, once seen as the embodiment of a close-knit, successful family, were now at the center of a mystery that seemed to defy explanation. In the search for the why, the investigators would have to venture into the shadowy realms of human emotions and relationships, where envy and greed could fester unnoticed. The community watched, waited, and mourned. The Lin family murders were not just an attack on individuals. They were an assault on the very idea of family and safety. As the police worked tirelessly to uncover the truth, a sense of unease gripped North Epping, an understanding that whatever the outcome, the innocence of the suburb had been irrevocably lost. As the investigation wove its way through the tangled web of the Lin family's life, it led to a revelation as startling as it was heartbreaking. The finger of accusation pointed not to an outsider, but to one within the family circle. Robert C., married to Kathy Lin, the sister-in-law of Min Lin, found himself enveloped in a cloud of suspicion that soon solidified into an arrest and charges of murder. In the courtroom, the air was thick with tension and disbelief. The prosecution painted a picture, not of random violence, but of a crime driven by deep-seated envy and anger. They suggested that Zai, feeling marginalized and inferior within the family hierarchy, had allowed his resentment to fester into something dark and ultimately destructive. The trial peeled back layers of the family's life, revealing undercurrents that had long flowed beneath the surface. It was a narrative that challenged the perception of the Lin family as a harmonious unit. Here, in the solemnity of the courtroom, a different story was being told, one of hidden conflicts, jealousies, and a struggle for status and recognition. The prosecution argued that Z's actions were the culmination of these smoldering resentments, a violent explosion of repressed feelings that had been brewing unseen. As each piece of evidence was laid bare, the community and the family grappled with a dual sense of loss, the loss of loved ones and the loss of trust in someone they had once embraced as family. Throughout the trial, the question of why continued to hang heavily in the air. How could someone embedded within the fabric of a family commit such an act against their own? The case against Robert C. not only sought justice for the brutal murders, but also forced a confrontation with the darkest possibilities of human nature. As the trial unfolded, it became a window into the soul of a family, revealing not just the events of a tragic night, but the simmering emotions that led to it. The heart of the prosecution's narrative revolved around a motive as old as humanity itself: envy. It was a tale that delved deep into the psyche of Robert C., unraveling a story of resentment and rivalry. At the center of this narrative was Z's perceived status within the Lin family. Despite outward appearances of unity and support, the prosecution painted a picture of a man who felt overshadowed, undervalued, and resentful. His brother-in-law, Min Lin, was successful, respected, the embodiment of the family's achievements. This disparity, the prosecution argued, festered in Z's heart, a malignant seed that grew in the darkness. But this was no ordinary tale of sibling rivalry. The prosecution suggested that Z's envy transcended mere jealousy, morphing into a deep-seated competition, a silent war fought in the shadows of family life. It was a war that, according to the narrative laid out in court, eventually led Z down a path of unspeakable violence. The revelations of the trial cast a new light on the dynamics of the Lin family. What had once seemed like minor frictions and everyday disagreements were now seen as the signs of a deeper, more dangerous undercurrent. The story of the Lin family had taken a dark turn, exposing the destructive power of envy and how it can turn the familial bond into something twisted and malevolent. As the trial drew to a close, the community and the family were left to grapple with the ramifications of these revelations. The Lin family murders were not just a crime against individuals, they were an assault on the very concept of family, a reminder of how the darkest human emotions can destroy the bonds we hold most dear. In the quiet aftermath of the trial, as the final gavel echoed in the courtroom, the community of North Epping was left to grapple with a revelation both shocking and profound. The Lin family murders, a tragedy that unfolded in their midst, served as a harrowing reminder that evil can reside in the most unexpected of places, sometimes within the very fabric of what we cherish most: family.
Lin Bin Robert Z on counts 1 to 5 on the indictment, you are convicted of the murders of Min Norman Lin, Yun Lee Lily Lin, Yun Bin Irene Lin, Henry Lin and Terry Lin. On each count, you are sentenced to imprisonment for life, commencing on 25 May 2012. You sit down, please.